The phone rang at midnight, shattering the silence of Mr. James Frederick's enormous office in Victoria Island, Lagos. He was surrounded by glowing computer screens showing his companies earning millions every second. Mr. James owned hotels, buildings, luxury cars, and even private islands. People called him the richest man in Lagos. When he entered the room, everyone stood up. When he spoke, everyone listened. But tonight, none of that mattered. Hello family, welcome back. Please take a moment to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. It truly means a lot to us. Don't forget to share it with your friends and loved ones and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new story. So sit back and relax as we dive into the story. Sir, come home quickly, his assistant screamed through the phone. It's Joshua. He collapsed. Mr. James's heart stopped. Joshua, his only son, his everything. He ran faster than he had ever run in his life. His black Range Rover raced through the streets of Lagos, breaking every traffic light. When he reached his mansion in Banana Island, a house so big it looked like a palace, doctors were already there. Expensive doctors, the best in Nigeria. Mr. James had flown them in on private jets within minutes. But their faces told him something horrible. Inside Joshua's bedroom, machines beeped loudly. Wires connected to his son's small body. Joshua lay still on the bed, his skin pale like paper, his lips turning blue. He was only 12 years old. What's wrong with him? Mr. James grabbed the head doctor by his white coat. Fix him. I don't care what it costs. The doctors looked at each other nervously. Finally, one of them spoke, his voice shaking. Chief Okonkwo, your son has a very rare sickness. We've never seen anything like it. His body is shutting down. Then do something. Mr. James shouted. Give him medicine. Do surgery. I'll pay anything. The doctor swallowed hard. Sir, there's no cure. Not yet. We've run every test. Called specialists from 5 countries. He paused, unable to say the words. But what? Mr. James's voice cracked. Your son has only 3 days to live. The room went silent except for the beeping machines. Mr. James felt his legs give out. He fell to his knees beside Joshua's bed, grabbing his son's cold hand. No, he whispered. No, no, no. This can't be happening. For the first time in his powerful life, Mr. James Frederick felt completely helpless. He owned half of Lagos. He could buy anything. But he couldn't buy more time for his son. Joshua's eyes opened slowly. They were tired, so very tired. Dad? He whispered weakly. Am I dying? Mr. James couldn't speak. Tears fell down his face, tears he had never cried before. I don't want to die, Dad, Joshua said, his voice barely there. I'm scared. But what could money do when death was coming? Far away from the mansion in Banana Island, in a completely different world, someone else was about to hear Joshua's story. His name was Daniel. Daniel didn't live in a mansion. He didn't even live in a house. He slept under the Eco Bridge in Lagos, wrapped in an old blanket he had found in the trash. He was 11 years old, skinny as a stick with messy black hair and clothes full of holes. Daniel had no parents, no family, no home. Every morning he woke up hungry. He earned money by selling bottled water at traffic lights, carrying bags for strangers, or cleaning car windows. On good days he made enough to buy one meal. On bad days he went to sleep with his stomach growling. But here was a strange thing about Daniel. He never stopped smiling. Even when bigger kids stole his money, he smiled. Even when people yelled at him to get out of their way, he smiled. Even when rain poured down and he had nowhere to go, he smiled. Because Daniel had a secret. He believed in miracles. Not the kind with magic wands. The kind where good things happen to good people. Where kindness matters more than money. Where impossible things become possible if you believe hard enough. One evening, Daniel sat at a small buka on the corner of a busy street in Yaba. The owner, an old woman with kind eyes named Mama Rose, sometimes gave him free Gary in a cracked bowl. Here you go, my child, she said, placing the warm bowl in his dirty hands. Thank you, Mama Rose, Daniel smiled. That's what he called her. She liked it. As Daniel ate his Gary, 2 men sat at the table next to him, talking loudly. Did you hear about the billionaire's son? One man said. Oh yes. Very tragic, the other replied. The boy is dying. Only has 3 days left. Even with all that money, his father cannot save him. Daniel's spoon froze halfway to his mouth. Dying? A boy? 3 days? How old is he? Daniel asked suddenly. The men looked at him, surprised a street kid was talking to them. 12, I think, one man said. Why do you care? Daniel didn't answer. His mind was spinning. Somewhere in a huge mansion, A boy his own age was lying in bed, waiting to die. A boy who probably had everything: toys, games, food, a warm bed. But none of it could save him. Daniel felt something strange in his chest. A pull, like an invisible rope connecting him to this boy he had never met. If only I could help, Daniel whispered to himself. Mama Rose heard him. She put her wrinkled hand on his shoulder. My child, you have the biggest heart I have ever seen. But some things are beyond us. Daniel looked up at her with serious eyes. Mama Rose, do you believe in miracles? She smiled sadly. I used to when I was young like you. Well, I still do, Daniel said firmly. He stood up, leaving his half-finished Gary. And I think that boy needs one. Where are you going? Mama Rose called after him. But Daniel was already running down the street, his bare feet slapping against the wet pavement. He didn't know how. He didn't know why. But something inside him told him he had to find this boy. Could a poor street kid really save a rich boy who had everything? The next morning, Daniel stood outside the biggest hospital in Lagos. Lagos University Teaching Hospital in Idi Araba. It was tall and white with huge glass windows that reflected the sun like diamonds. Rich people went there when they were sick. People like Mr. James's son. Security guards in black suits stood at every entrance. Their faces were serious. Their arms were crossed. They looked like soldiers protecting a fortress. Daniel took a deep breath. He knew they would never let a dirty street kid inside. But Daniel was clever. He had spent his whole life being invisible, sneaking into places he wasn't supposed to be. He watched and waited. When a delivery truck arrived with food, Daniel slipped behind it. When the guards turned to check the truck's papers, Daniel ducked low and ran through the doors. Inside, the hospital was like another world. Everything was clean and white. The floors were so shiny Daniel could see his reflection. Nurses walked quickly in their crisp uniforms. The smell of medicine filled the air. Daniel felt out of place with his torn clothes and bare feet, but he kept walking. He asked a cleaning lady, "Excuse me, ma? Where is Chief Okonkwo's son's room?" The lady looked at him suspiciously. "Top floor, but you cannot just..." Daniel was already running to the stairs. He couldn't use the lift. Too many people would see him. He climbed 5 flights of stairs, his legs burning, until he reached the top floor. And there it was, room 507. 2 more guards stood outside the door. Daniel's heart pounded. How would he get past them? Then he noticed a food trolley in the hallway. Without thinking, he grabbed a white coat hanging nearby and put it on. It was huge on him, hanging past his knees. He pushed the food trolley toward the room, keeping his head down. "Breakfast delivery," Daniel mumbled. The guards barely looked at him. They opened the door. Daniel was in. The room was enormous. Machines surrounded a huge bed in the center. And there, looking tiny in the middle of all those white sheets, was Joshua. He looked even worse than Daniel had imagined. His skin was gray. Dark circles surrounded his eyes. Tubes ran from his arms to bags of clear liquid. The machine beside him beeped steadily, counting his heartbeats. Daniel stood frozen in the doorway. Joshua's eyes opened slowly. They were brown like cola nuts, but so tired. He looked at Daniel, confused. Who are you?" Joshua's voice was barely a whisper. Daniel swallowed hard. "I'm Daniel. I came to help you." Joshua tried to laugh, but it came out as a weak cough. "Help me? The best doctors in the world cannot help me. How can you?" Daniel walked closer. Up close, he could see Joshua was just like him. Just a kid who was scared. "I don't know yet," Daniel admitted. "But I couldn't just do nothing." For a moment, they stared at each other. 2 boys from completely different worlds, but both feeling the same thing. Fear. "What's it like?" Joshua asked suddenly. "Living on the streets?" Daniel blinked. "What?" "I can tell from your clothes," Joshua said. "You don't have a home, do you?" Daniel shook his head. "No. But it's not all bad. I get to see the sunrise every morning. I have freedom. And I meet interesting people." "I've never seen a real sunrise," Joshua said sadly. "I've always been too busy with tutors and lessons and business meetings my father makes me sit in. I have everything, but I've never really lived." "And I have nothing," Daniel said softly. "But I live every day like it's an adventure." They both smiled at the irony. Then Joshua's smile faded. "I'm going to die, Daniel. In 3 days. Maybe less." "No," Daniel said firmly. "You're not." "How do you know?" "Because I won't let you." Daniel grabbed Joshua's hand. It was cold and weak, but Daniel held it tight. "I promise you, Joshua. I'm going to find a way to save you." Joshua's eyes filled with tears. "That's impossible." "I believe in impossible things," Daniel said with that bright smile of his. And starting today you're going to believe too. For the first time in days, Joshua felt something he thought he had lost. Hope. But then the door burst open. Mr. James stormed in, followed by 2 guards. His face was angry and confused. What would he do to the strange street boy standing beside his dying son? Who are you? Mr. James demanded, staring at the strange boy in an oversized coat. How did you get in here? Daniel stood up straight even though his knees were shaking. My name is Daniel, sir. I came to help your son. Help him? Mr. James's voice was sharp. Are you a doctor? No, sir. A scientist? A specialist? No, sir. I'm just me. Mr. James's face turned red with anger. Guards, remove this child immediately. Wait. Joshua cried out from the bed. Dad, please. He's my friend. Friend? Mr. James looked shocked. You just met him. I know, Joshua said, his voice getting stronger. But he's the first person who didn't look at me like I'm already dead. Please let him stay. Mr. James looked at his son, then at Daniel. Finally he sighed. Fine. But don't give my son false hope. Hope can hurt worse than truth. Daniel met Mr. James's eyes. What if hope is the truth, sir? Mr. James didn't answer. He just turned and left the room. That night, Daniel sneaked out of the hospital. He couldn't stay, the guards were watching too closely. But he had made a promise. And Daniel always kept his promises. He walked through the dark streets of Lagos, thinking hard. Where could he find a cure that doctors couldn't? How could he save Joshua? Then he remembered something. A story Mama Rose had told him once about old healers who lived far from the city. Healers who used plants and herbs instead of pills and machines. Healers who knew secrets that modern doctors had forgotten. That's it. Daniel whispered to himself. The next morning, before the sun came up, Daniel left Lagos. He had no money for a bus or train, so he walked. He walked along dusty roads, through small villages, asking everyone he met. Do you know any healers? He would ask. Most people shook their heads. Some laughed. Healers? That's old superstition, boy. Go to a hospital. But Daniel kept asking, kept walking. His feet hurt. His stomach was empty. But he couldn't stop. After 2 days of walking, he reached a tiny village called Agwoba at the edge of a dark forest. The people there were different. They wore simple clothes and lived in small houses. An old man sitting outside a small shop noticed Daniel. You look lost, child, the old man said. I'm looking for a healer, Daniel said breathlessly. Someone who knows about rare sicknesses. Someone who can do what doctors cannot. The old man's eyes grew serious. There is one. Deep in the forest. They call him Papa Johnson. But the journey is dangerous and he doesn't help just anyone. Please, Daniel begged. My friend is dying. I have 1 day left to save him. The old man studied Daniel's face. He saw something there, something pure and true. Follow the river into the forest. Walk until you hear the waterfall. Papa Johnson's house is there. But be warned, he will test your heart. Daniel didn't waste a second. He ran toward the forest. The trees were so thick that sunlight barely reached the ground. Strange sounds echoed around him. Birds, insects, animals he couldn't name. The river beside him rushed loudly, guiding him deeper and deeper. His legs screamed with pain. Branches scratched his arms and face. He tripped over roots and fell into mud. But every time he fell, he got back up. For Joshua, he whispered to himself. For Joshua. Finally, after hours of walking, he heard it, the sound of a waterfall crashing down rocks. And there, hidden behind the falling water, was a tiny house made of wood and stone. Daniel climbed over slippery rocks and knocked on the door. It opened slowly. An old man stood there, but he wasn't like any old man Daniel had ever seen. His eyes were sharp and bright, like he could see right into Daniel's soul. His long white beard touched his chest. Strange plants hung from the ceiling behind him, and the air smelled of earth and flowers. Why have you come, boy? Papa Johnson asked. His voice was deep and powerful. Daniel fell to his knees, exhausted. Please, sir. My friend is dying. He has 1 day left. The doctors gave up, but I can't. I won't. Please, if you know anything, any cure, please help me. Papa Johnson stared at him for a long, long time. Then he asked, This friend of yours, is he rich? Very, Daniel said honestly. And you are poor? Very, Daniel said again. So why do you care? What will you gain by saving him? Daniel looked up, confused. Gain? Nothing. I can't watch him die when maybe, just maybe, I can do something. Papa Johnson's face softened. He disappeared into his house and returned holding a small leather pouch. Inside were dried leaves that glowed faintly, like they held tiny pieces of moonlight. "This plant is called silver breath," Papa Johnson said. "It blooms once every 10 years in the deepest part of this forest. It can cure almost anything." He paused. "But it only works if given with a pure heart. If your intentions are selfish, it becomes poison." Daniel took the pouch carefully. "My heart is pure. I promise." "Then go, boy. Run. Your friend has very little time left." Daniel didn't say thank you. There was no time. He turned and ran back through the forest, faster than he had ever run before. The sun was setting. Joshua had 1 day left. Maybe less. Daniel's body screamed for rest, but his heart pushed him forward. He ran through the night, through the forest, past villages, back toward Lagos. The lights of the city appeared in the distance just as the sun began to rise. Daniel ran harder. He was coming, Joshua. He was coming. But would he make it in time? Daniel's feet were bleeding. His lungs burned, but he could see the hospital now, just 3 blocks away. He pushed through the morning crowd in Idi Araba, ignoring the stares at his muddy clothes and scratched face. People jumped out of his way as he sprinted past them. "Move. Please move," he shouted. When he reached the hospital, the guards recognized him. "Hey, you're not allowed." But Daniel was too fast. He ducked under their arms and ran straight for the stairs. Behind him, he heard shouting and heavy footsteps chasing him. He burst through the door of room 507, and his heart almost stopped. Joshua wasn't moving. Doctors surrounded his bed, working frantically. Machines beeped wildly. Mr. James stood in the corner, his face buried in his hands, sobbing. "No, no, no." Daniel screamed. "I'm here. I found it." Everyone turned to stare at him. A doctor tried to grab him. "Security, get this child out of here." "Wait." Daniel held up the leather pouch. "Please. This can save him." "That's enough," Mr. James said, his voice broken. "Don't torture me with false hope. My son is not dead yet." Daniel shouted with everything he had. "Please, Chief Okonkwo. Please just let me try. What do you have to lose?" Mr. James looked at Joshua's still body, then at Daniel's desperate face, then at the pouch glowing faintly in the morning light. "Everyone out," Mr. James said quietly. "Sir, this is highly irregular," a doctor protested. "I said out." Mr. James roared. "All of you. Now." The doctors exchanged worried glances but left the room. Only Mr. James, Daniel, and Joshua remained. Daniel rushed to Joshua's bedside. His friend's lips were blue. His chest barely moved. With shaking hands, Daniel opened the pouch. The silver breath leaves smelled like rain and honey. He crushed them in a cup of water and stirred. "Joshua," Daniel whispered, tears streaming down his face. "Remember our promise? You have to fight. Please fight." He carefully lifted Joshua's head and poured the glowing liquid between his lips. 1 drop. 2 drops. 3. Nothing happened. The room was silent except for the terrible beeping of the machines. Daniel held Joshua's hand. "Come on, friend. Come back. The sunrise is waiting for you. Real sunrises. Beautiful ones. I'll show you everything. Just come back." Still nothing. Mr. James collapsed into a chair, covering his face. Then Joshua coughed. It was tiny, weak, but it was there. "Joshua." Daniel's eyes went wide. Joshua coughed again. Stronger this time. His chest moved up and down. Color slowly returned to his cheeks, starting from his nose and spreading outward like spilled paint. "It's working," Daniel breathed. "It's working." Mr. James jumped up. "Joshua. So, can you hear me?" Joshua's eyelids fluttered. Slowly, so slowly they opened. Those brown eyes looked around, confused but alive. "Dad." Joshua's voice was scratchy but real. "Daniel? What happened?" Daniel started laughing and crying at the same time. He hugged Joshua tightly. "You're okay. You're really okay." Mr. James fell to his knees beside the bed, grabbing his son's hand. "The doctor said, they said you were, but you're here. You're alive." The doctors rushed back in shocked. They checked Joshua's vitals, ran tests, examined him from every angle. Their faces showed complete disbelief. "This is impossible," one doctor whispered. "His pulse is normal. His breathing is clear. There's no trace of the illness. It's gone." "Gone?" Mr. James asked, afraid to hope. I don't understand it, but yes. It appears to be completely gone." The room erupted in joy. Nurses hugged each other. Mr. James held Joshua and sobbed with relief. And Daniel sat on the floor, exhausted but smiling his biggest smile. The miracle had happened. But outside the hospital, dangerous men were watching. They had seen Daniel save Joshua. And they were not happy about it. What would they do next? For the next 2 days Joshua grew stronger. He could sit up, then walk, then laugh. News spread across Nigeria. Billionaire's son makes impossible recovery. Miracle cure saves a dying child. But inside Mr. James's mansion in Banana Island where Joshua was now resting, trouble was brewing. Late one night, while everyone slept, 3 men in expensive suits gathered in a dark office building in Victoria Island. The boy survived, one man said angrily. He was Mr. Victor Adeyemi, Mr. James's biggest business rival. If Joshua lives, Chief Okonkwo's empire stays strong. Our plan to take over his companies is ruined. What about that street kid? Another man asked. He's the one who brought the cure. Mr. Victor's eyes narrowed. Then we make the street kid disappear. If Joshua gets sick again and the cure is gone, nature will take its course. They didn't know that one of Mr. James's servants had overheard them. The servant ran straight to the mansion to warn them. The next morning Mr. James called Daniel into his study. Joshua was there too, looking healthier every day. Daniel, Mr. James said seriously, I've learned that some very dangerous people want to hurt you. They see you as a threat to their plans. Daniel's eyes widened. Hurt me? But I just wanted to help. I know, son. Mr. James put his hand on Daniel's shoulder. That's why I want you to stay here in this mansion. You'll be safe. Protected. He paused, his voice getting emotional. You will be family. My family. Daniel looked at Joshua, who was grinning. Please stay, Daniel. You're my best friend. My brother. But before Daniel could answer, the lights went out. Glass shattered somewhere downstairs. Men shouted. Footsteps pounded up the stairs. They're here. Mr. James yelled. Guards. The door burst open. 5 men in black masks rushed in. But Mr. James's security team was ready. They fought hard, pushing the attackers back. In the chaos, one masked man grabbed Daniel. You're coming with us, street rat. No. Joshua screamed. But then something amazing happened. All the servants, the cooks, the gardeners, the maids, they all rushed in with brooms and pans and whatever they could find. Mama Rose from the buka was there too. She had heard about the danger and brought half the neighborhood. You don't hurt our Daniel, she shouted, swinging her walking stick. The attackers were overwhelmed. Within minutes, they were tied up and police sirens wailed outside. As officers took the criminals away, Mr. Victor Kane was among them, his face twisted with anger. You can't win, Okonkwo. Mr. Victor shouted. Money always wins. Mr. James looked at Daniel, then at all the ordinary people who had come to protect him. He smiled. You're wrong, Victor. Love wins. Every single time. 1 week later, Joshua stood on the mansion's balcony, watching his first real sunrise with Daniel beside him. The sky turned from dark purple to pink to orange to gold. Belle sang. The world felt brand new. It's beautiful, Joshua whispered. Told you, Daniel grinned. Behind them Mr. James watched his son, alive, laughing, learning what really mattered in life. He had already made changes. Half his fortune would go to building schools and hospitals for poor children. He had hired Mama Roseto run a community center. And Daniel was officially his son now, adopted, loved home. You know what the craziest part is? Joshua said to Daniel. You had nothing. I had everything. But you saved me. Daniel shrugged. That's because the best things in life don't cost money. Courage doesn't cost money. Kindness doesn't cost money. Hope doesn't cost money. He looked at Mr. James and Joshua. And love is completely free. Mr. James came and put his arms around both boys. I spent my whole life thinking money was power. But you taught me something, Daniel. Real power is in here. He touched his heart. And that's a treasure everyone can have, rich or poor. Joshua smiled. So what do we do now? Daniel's eyes sparkled with that old mischief. Now we go help other people. Share what we learned. Show the world that miracles are real when people care about each other. And that's exactly what they did. We've come to the end of today's story and I hope it touched your heart. Thank you for watching and remember to subscribe for more powerful and inspiring stories. See you in the next one.